Are we ready to go? Excellent. Well, hello everyone who has joined us here, but also those that will be following us over internet and later in the video recording. We are going to talk about the experience of a European Capital of Culture with 4 candidate cities, but we are not talking about European Capital of Culture as such. Rather, we are going to talk about what is the role of culture and creativity for a city development. In times where still very many politicians see culture not as an investment, but as a cost. So why do you think differently? Why your cities entered the race and what has come out of this process? That's what we're going to talk about. My name is Ragnar Siil. I represent Creativity Lab. We have been since 2017 carrying out, together with the Latvian Ministry of Culture, an initiative on creative industries called RADI. And this year we are going to continue with a project which looks into the possibility of development smaller places up to 5,000 inhabitants through culture and creativity. We're going to organize 4 missions across Latvia to see whether culture creativity is just something for big cities, for Riga or for Liepāja, even, well, it's not big city, but still, or cities like Cēsis, or actually even places smaller than that. So that's what we're going to do. You all know that 9 Latvian cities applied to become the European Capital of Culture 2027. Out of those 9, 4 were selected. Here we have Valmiera that was selected to the second round. We have from Daugavpils, we have from Liepāja, and then also Jūrmala, but they dropped out. We also have our host here, Cēsis, who unfortunately, and if I can be honest, very undeservedly was left out from the second round. So we can see from this process different angles. Those that did not make it the second round, those that did, but did not make it to the title, and then also Liepāja that got the title, and what does it mean? We have Diana Soldane from Daugavpils. We have Liene Jakobsone from Valmiera. We have Inta Šorina from Liepāja, and we have Atis Eglitis here from Cēsis. Woo! But let's start with this. I give each of you, and I start from here, we end there. You can say a few words about your background. Who do you work as in the city? What's your role? But I would also want you to say just very briefly, if your city would have won the European Capital of Culture, why or what would you have offered that Europe would have not seen before?
It's hard to start. As for my background, hello everybody. I am an art historian by my education, but I work as a deputy director for cultural policy in Valmiera City Council. I was also one of the leaders of the ECOC bids in our city, and if Valmiera would have won, I would say that we might be the best example for cities that you think culture does not belong in a city like that, but it can, and it would be a great example on how to, for culture, how to be in such hard or impossible places to be.
And you might not be the 27 European Capital of Culture, but you are the capital of best beer in Latvia. At least that. Let's move on, Atis. Europe didn't believe that Cēsis can be the best of best in Europe 27. Tell them why they were wrong.
Because they didn't believe that they didn't believe. But from one side, they said for other cities that they don't have enough great, bright future ideas. But in our review, they wrote that our ideas is unrealistic. So, and I think this was this is it. They didn't believe that small town can do it. I'm looking on Pride, this flag. In our big book, we wrote that the first Baltic Pride will happen in places outside of capital city. So that was a very brave idea, I think. So they didn't believe it.
And a few words about yourself as well.
Yeah. Sasa. I'm deputy mayor right now. When we wrote a big book, I was a head of city administration, but my background is actually I'm coming from Liepāja, and I remember it was 2016, I think. I was sitting in that time city mayor office, Sask's office, and I was negotiating that Liepāja should start preparing for European Capital of Culture. And then, yes, I moved to Cēsis, and we made the first we were the first city who made this decision 2019 that we are running for this title.
Very good. Diana, Daugavpils. What did we miss out? What Europe missed out?
Yes, about myself. At the moment, I'm a deputy head of the culture department. Before ECOG bidding process, I was project manager at the department. And what Europe missed out, Daugavpils is not a simple city. We usually were proud of our diversity and always said that our biggest value is diversity. But we know that diversity brings also clashes of opinions, and it's not so easy, in fact. In our city, Latvians are only 21%. And therefore, our multicultural environment brought up many issues where we saw that we have to seek for common language. And our idea was to use culture and art and culture processes as a tool for finding this common language, for bringing up social transformations to transform our city, because we know that there are many stereotypes about our city. There are many stereotypes about our region. So we saw that this is an opportunity to change the situation. And in February 2022, we learned that the whole Europe has to find a common language.
Yes, I absolutely get, your background. I myself was helping a city of Narva in Estonia to become a European capital of culture. It lost out in the final to Tartu, but in Narva, as you know, only 2% speak Estonian. So this, and the realization when we lost in 2022 happened 24th of February, what went through our heads. But we will come back to this. Now, I can't ask you, Inta, what would you have offered, because now you actually have to offer, and I think you will have the most difficult job of all of us. But if very shortly to sum up, why do you think Liepāja will be a culture capital that Europe has never seen before? They didn't know these questions before, so that's why, the surprise is real.
Surprise is real. It's not easy question. Just a little bit about myself. Hello, everyone. I'm Inta. My background actually is more rooted in marketing. I was leading also a tourism office in Liepāja for some while before I was asked kindly to participate to lead the process of bidding process, and then accidentally, when you are so much in, you don't have anyhow how to escape. So I'm leading now the foundation also as a CEO for implementation of the process. Well, about Liepāja and what we can offer. There's a bit of small background story. When we were bidding, we were thinking very much about it because it was so obvious that we have so many strengths, and that I think was our weakest point. And there we met these many people all around here in Liepāja and in Latvia and everywhere. And then we find out so many things about ourselves. And the most significant is that Liepāja is paradoxal city. And we have always survived throughout the storms and moved in some kind of movement to the future with the help of a healthy balance between rest and unrest. And I think the world is unrestful, and maybe in some fields so rested in peace, it's also to say. So we think that we can bring this balance back. And also, we are ready to create this balance with the help of culture.
Very good. Let's do the round now backwards. And I don't want to go and dig in history. What happened, who did what, when. That doesn't matter. Yeah. Let's look at the impact now and how do we move from here to the future. I mean, you are just at the beginning of actually realizing your program. But up to today, if you look back of those years of preparation, how has this changed your city? What changes and impacts you can already see in Liepāja?
Yes, I think the first thing is maybe many times Liepāja is seen as a very self-confident city, but I think this title brought actual confidence to people, which are not very much connected to processes in city. I think and I feel that that was the first thing, that yes, we can do that. Because we can understand that many times behind the bravery, we are just hiding ourselves, right? So that was one thing. The other is that just because we dig in so many topics, magic happened, and the topics that we have thought of bringing them out at the end of 26, 27, they are happening now. For example, they were clear that we need to strengthen our NGO sector, so we thought, what about the kind of NGO incubator we could create and then could help, and then out of nowhere people are coming and doing that now. Or we were thinking also about old city restoration processes, how to protect the heritage and so on. So out of nowhere, somebody just came and doing that now. So I think even without even implementation, without all these processes, creating projects as themselves, many things is happening already. And I think the process of preparation has given kind of the power to do things that we never done.
Diana, what has changed in your city?
First of all, over these years of during the preparation of the bid book, we brought attention to the point that culture, it's not just, as you said, it's not a cost, it's investment, and that culture and art is media, not just product you can use or not use, how you choose. And we involved very many people into this process of preparation. We organized discussions, even just events. Please try to dream big. What you want to change in the city. And the first thing for everyone was, oh, you can dream? So it made people think outside the box. And I think it was the most important thing, because now people are more, they have more courage to develop also some new projects, new ideas, as Inta said. They come and do, they do not wait so much. Of course, this process is not so rapid and wide, but gradually people are changing things. And also we managed to involve more and more people in some public or culture activities. They are more active. They come and ask what will be next. They don't wait so much. They come and ask, and and now we have also this situation when you cannot say, okay, we didn't win the title, okay, we will do something else. No, they come and ask, okay, what we will do, what will be next. Anyways, we want to do something. So I think this is the most valuable thing, that people see this potential of culture and art and these processes.
Sorry, and how did you facilitate or manage the frustration and disappointment after you got a rejection?
The first thing that people saw and asked, we were in Riga when the results were announced, and we were on the spot, and the camera took everyone's reaction, and people called from Daugavpils and said, "Why you are smiling? Why you are smiling?" We said, "But it's okay. We did this. We have successful this bid book. We have successful story. The process was success, not the title as such. Because, of course, when you win the title, you have to start think how you will bring it to real life." And I think our reaction was what made people understand that we do not have to cry, because the process was the biggest luck for us, what we have done in this process. And also, as when we were in Riga, there was also waiting for the results on spot in Daugavpils, and the mayor was there. And when he heard the results, of course, he was not very happy. But first thing what he said, however, now we know how strong people we have in Daugavpils, what they can do. And we know that we have good teams in the culture institutions, and they can bring up new programs. So in the very first moment, we said that it's not worth crying.
Wonderful, wonderful. Atis, what is different? I mean, I've been here many times, but always where there's no lampa, meaning it's quiet, there's few people, it's empty, it's been autumns, it's been fall, and suddenly I see people, I see, life. So maybe it's not the best time to ask this, but how did this process transform CESIS?
I think it's still transforming, because yes, we self-announced that we are the first capital of culture of Latvia, and this is what we don't have in Latvia. In Lithuania, they have competition, national competition. I don't know in Estonia, but Lithuania they have. So, and yeah, Ministry of the Culture was very surprised, because journalists were asked what's happening, what's that title, and so on. So we made this self-announcement. It's a little bit like rebel, or I don't know what is the best term, but so, and we are working for that. And if you have seen partners or organizers of Lampa, it's not just CESIS, it's CESIS 2025. And for that we are already processing different kind of things. We have very good program for local communities to support their activities, because we strongly believe that 2025 is possible if we will involve local communities. We see that the municipality will organize the big events, but all the voice should be given to communities. So this is one. For example, we have started a very great, successful international Baltic Sea region project about health and museums. Health was, or regeneration was one of the pillars in our bid book, and it's already happening. The final conference will be 2025 in CESIS, and yes, it's so great feeling that you see in one room museum directors, and, for example, together negotiating with a hospital director how health and museums can cooperate, and both those parts can benefit.
Very interesting. Liene, what about Valmiera?
After a week of good crying, ugly crying, and kudos to Diana team who were so happy afterwards, and we were just tears on our faces, super hard criers. But eventually we gathered and understood that we would like to keep and go the way we chose to before. So for us, it's we gained a clear direction in culture that beforehand the city lacked. So before we started so there's the before and after ECOC. So we started as, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? We were like the black sheep, you know, over in the contestants. So afterwards, we can say that it's a different story, that we aspire now different things. We work in a different level. We think internationally when we think about culture, and it's a new cultural life in a way there. So of course there are daily things that we need to think about, like how to secure the legacy, because it's not as a contemporary culture is not as, I don't know, easy or easily understandable as it is for traditional practices. But we have set up many mechanisms to secure its legacy. So for us, the Dynamic City, which is the legacy project, will not be for a particular year or for a particular, like when it starts and when will it end. We will try to secure it as part of a long-term cultural development strategy, yes.
Earlier today I was explained in length, and sorry for my ignorance, this great Latvian tradition related to hockey. That if you win, you go to the loser's embassy. Yeah? So my question is, did Inta and her team come to all of you with flowers?
I do remember when all was over, I was actually writing to girls that we should actually chat, because that was more than just a process for other people. That was also quite a run for ourselves. And we have, as 3 members of leaders of 3 teams, we had quite an experience professionally wise. And therefore it was very smart to meet up and talk through how did you do with your team, what was the details, how did you work with kind of politicians, what were your opinions in this or that. So that was very great. But I remember I was writing, or I will not mention which girl, I said, let's meet up for tea. And some of them said, let's drink, let's have something stronger then. So, yeah. And that was very much needed, because actually what Liene brought up this, that European Union really values mental health. This preparation was nothing to do with mental health. Our members of our teams, and that was, we can kind of, with a distance now we can laugh and feel relaxed, but that was not funny. People in front of our eyes were burning down. And when we finished as a process, as a winner, and kind of saying that, oh, we almost died, but we got it, and then we meet up with other ECOC teams, and they are saying, you have seen nothing yet. We have now in Liepājas stand, there's a girl from Team Tartu. I think we should remind ourselves, going for such titles or doing such things, about ourselves and our teams and members, because we are just few people over here.
And also, of course, just a suggestion from my side, especially in a country that, you know, we don't have an endless amount of expertise and people. You know, I worked for the Tartu's competitor, but when this was over and Tartu won, I've been now working for years with Tartu, and I'm not the only one actually. So, you know, take over what you have from others and use it. But let's now move on. I mean, you really talked about how it changed perceptions, etc. It's often said that the most critical role of European Capital of Culture is raising awareness on all levels about the role of culture. And you mentioned it's not just about culture, it's what culture can bring you, from health to other benefits. So I remember when Riga was preparing, you know, when it got the title and was preparing, it also was in very difficult times because of the economic crisis back then. Now, we have, again, the economic crisis, we have the security crisis, we have inflations, we have a lot of instability around us. So have you actually, and let's start from here, have you actually seen now that after this year, after the preparations, after a lot of emphasis on raising awareness, it has become easier for culture people to talk about the value of culture? It's easier to get support from the municipality for your projects? Or is it still as hard as it's always been?
Yes and no. No, in a way that we involved politicians from the beginning of the candidacy. So, and since our candidacy started, there is nothing here. We don't know what to do. It was very honest at the beginning. So it became easier for them to see how the strategy will develop, how the program will be put into place, and how all the puzzle will connect. So at the last presentation, or when we spoke about that, Valmiera has the biggest potential, or when we looked at our mayor, what is he going to say about this? He was just like you, saying, yes, that's true, and his way of thinking the same that we did helped going forward with the legacy of the project, because when I think 3 or 4 months passed, we decided to create the Dynamic City and zip the project into pick out different other program elements and put it in another book, so another file. And then when the new budget came and we went with the book, they were so into the process already that it was no problem for securing the money for such a thing. A different task is to what other mechanisms are set in place for the loser teams, let's say that, which when we know in Portugal, what they did is that they give 2 million to each of the city who lost, created a Portugal Capital of Culture, and there is a mechanism set in place. In Latvia, thank you, come again. That's the system.
In 13 to 15 years.
Yes, more or less. But as for the city, I would say it's better than it was, but still it's an everyday task to put a fire under it and to keep speaking, keep talking, keep doing the thing.
So for you artists, this question might be a little bit schizophrenic, because you are actually the vice mayor on this topic. So do you find it easier to convince yourself to give money to yourself or not? How does it work? Please.
In CESIS, for sure, because if we're comparing culture budget with other sector budgets, then we can see that we have quite a good budget and so on, and a very strong system and processes. But I'm not sure that in Latvia, in other municipalities understand what culture could do and why we should support not only culture but also invest in creative industries. I'm a big fan of creative industries, and so this is a perfect place for that because we have the first creative industry center made by municipality. Now we are building or renovating creative industry center Rainis, which will be the next step. We have concert hall and a lot of hipster places and small cafes and so on. So, but I'm afraid that in Latvia still we are thinking that, yes, as you said, that culture is spending, not earning, or someone said that, and yes, I think it's depending on municipality. And actually, there was one discussion this morning, early morning, made by European Commission about cohesion policy in Europe. So, and Latgale is one of the poorest regions, if not the poorest region in European Union. And what can we see? That's true, right? But what can we see that last decade we have invested a lot of money, state by state, by European Union, and so on, so on. And still Latgale is somewhere in the down of the list. So, and the question is why it's so. And my answer is that we invested money in new roads, in new buildings, but not so many or big investments in human resources, in social innovations, in business company export capability building, and so on and so on. So, and I think that Europe should also change mindset what cohesion policy really means. It doesn't mean to build new road. It means to invest in research and science and so on.
Very good. How about you?
In fact, I would continue from this point. In fact, there has been many investments in research and in science. In my part of Latgale, maybe not so much in new roads. But anyways, I agree that we have to invest more in social capacity, because people choose to live, they choose to do their business where they feel comfortable. And if they do not feel very well, they go to other places. And I think that's the role of culture, that you can, culture can be this creator of comfort, even if maybe not so good roads, maybe not so good some infrastructure, but if you have contents what make you feel better, you will choose and live there. And this is also a story of Daugavpils, because not even before ECOC, we have another story which showed that you have to dream big, and that you have to understand that culture has important value. Daugavpils fortress, some 20 years ago, was completely degraded territory. It was a sad story, but then the city chose to make a plan and gradually renovate the buildings and fill them up with new content to make shift from military aims to art and culture. And one of the first things was Mark Rothko Art Center. And people didn't believe that, oh, Daugavpils, somewhere near Russian border, who will come to Mark Rothko Art Center? Who will give the paintings? Who will bring some valuable art objects to this center? And now 10 years have passed, and we see that it's possible. You just have to believe, and you have to purposefully work and for the same. And I think that both these stories, the Rothko Center, the fortress, and the ECOC story, has shown to our city that you have to invest in culture, not only like money, but also in human resource, and that it will bring back a confidence to city. It will make people feel more comfortable to live there, because then they feel like, okay, we are in Europe, though. Yes, I understand that we may seem the poorest part of Europe, but still culture is the one which brings this value up.
So, after your positive result, after you declared the European Capital of Culture, did all the money gates open? Money flooded in? Don't have to count anymore?
That is funny. So many people are coming with, question, well, how much money you are getting, and starting with this question about money. But I want to answer on the question you gave to other colleagues, that actually we have to start with ourselves. We have made a program in this ECOG bid book how culture can change economy, education, all the sectors, development sectors in city, but actually we can't implement that. If we would need to, we couldn't do that tomorrow. We need those 4 years, we need preparation, we have to shift our minds that culture is not only for entertainment, and for cultural people as well. It's easy for me to see that because I don't come from cultural sector itself. So from perspective, when you look at it, it just see the overall picture, not only in city, but also in region, the Dienvidkurzeme and Kuldīgas region, which comes together, and we have to start to work first there.
Is there any questions in the audience as well? Does anybody want to ask a question? We can bring the microphone. You can even ask in Latvian. We will translate it for me. No? Not yet? I will ask once more. So think of this. Let's look now from here to the future. 24 minutes into the future. If we would gather here, 4 cities as you are, in 2028, your year has just finished. You have had 4 or 5 years into development. Many people don't even remember that you were in this process. How do you imagine the city being either same or different, thanks to culture, creativity, creative industries, and kind of a strengthened, empowered social capital? Start with you.
I will start, yes. It's easier for me because this is the question that we have to answer every single day. And if I would like to have some things changed, then those will be in processes. I believe in processes. Once you set something as a system, as a process, you can just change things, because you know, as enthusiastic as we are, nobody can stay enthusiastic for 5 years. There is no idea, except maybe the love to your family, but the others come and go. And if we are able to change some processes in these 4 years and they stay for the city, then I believe that we can change city itself.
Sorry, and because now you are launching into this preparatory process. I mean, you have plans, you have bid book, you have promise, you have ideas, but we've seen now in the past 5 years how nearly nothing of those pre-imagined plans have been realized. We see cities like Galway and Rijeka that happened to be in the very year of the COVID lockdowns, and they had to reimagine nearly everything. We have Tartu, who planned, already 4 years ago with Arts of Survival, and that has completely have a new meaning of what a survival means today. So how ready, how flexible Liepāja is when it comes to kind of finding its way in this unknown, fastly changing world.
Again, there should be a platform, a system, or a process how we are communicating in between of ourselves. We can't stay in the bubbles. We can't just stay in digital world. We have to come regularly to discuss face to face everyday matters, and we will need to change, and we can't predict where it goes, but I think the conversation goes first, and then we can be kind of quick to change things if we are talking face to face, yeah. And I think there has been cities where we don't see these legacies, but then there are cities like Leeuwarden or Matera who are coming now back to the thought that maybe there is a sense of having kind of capital of culture project that brings all city together. I don't know, once in 3 years or something. So yes, the legacy is in our minds right now. For so long time, the legacy has been questioned always for those cities only at the celebration year. And then there's not much time to figure out what do we do with all of that.
Daugavpils 2028.
Yes, I would like to think more, not so much about culture institutions and culture projects, but more about changes in society, in the mindset of people. I would like to believe that they would be ready to engage more, not only in some events related to culture or art, but also to any decision-making processes, because that is our goal now. We not only try to implement part of program within municipality institutions or culture institutions, but we are also, we have made an association and we are developing projects which are aimed at public engagement, capacity building, to involve more and more people. We are trying to attract more people who are ready to do something or learn to do something. So this is our aim, to make citizens more active, not only in culture, but when they say, our city has some drawbacks, okay, what are you ready to do to change it? So you have to be active. If you just not tell that everything is bad, as Latvians say, viss slikti. No, you have to be active to do something. So I would like to believe that in 2028, Daugavpils citizens would be more active and not waiting for some politicians to solve all their problems.
I think, if I may, just one experience. So I worked for 3 years for the European Commission in the Eastern Partnership countries. We covered Ukraine, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Moldova, Belarus, and one more country. And we had this project where we wanted to develop creative industries in small cities, smaller cities. Exactly this what we're doing here. And in each of the country we selected one place where we wanted to pilot. So in Belarus, back then, it was in 2016 to 18, in Belarus it happened to be a city called Svetlohorsk, which is this city created in 1960s, industrial city, and we were taken by the mayor to, in 2 days, to every place. Yeah, we saw cultural house, Dom Kultura, we saw, gallery, we saw the music school, the art school, we saw, everything that was there, and everything was full of people. So, you had the music school, and there was a lot of children playing violin and piano and all of that. So after 2 days of, seeing every museum and stuff, we had a final dinner, and the mayor really wanted to get the praise and asked us, so are we doing well? Like, are we doing well? And what we said was, it depends on what you want. If you want to spoon-feed culture to every citizen, I think you're doing exceptionally well. You have everything, you have for free, people have access, fine. I see it's people are active, participating in these cultural activities. But if you want to create actively participating society, citizens that actually want to take responsibility in developing their city, you do nothing, because in that city, there's zero private initiative. Every single organization, school, or event, everything is organized by the city, by people employed in the city. So I think what you're saying is this culture as a tool for activating communities. In a community, a city where a city doesn't have to do everything, but create conditions where people themselves are empowered and equipped to do things. So I think that's a very important message from here as well. Artis, 2020, after 2025 is your, first culture capital, and then 2028.
Yes, actually I should look a little bit back in 2014 when the concert hall was opened. And if you say that when you're visiting CESIS, it's very empty, then I think it was 2009 when BBC they visited CESIS, and there was this episode where CESIS was a very depressed town. And concert hall has made a big impact on local economy. We see a lot of restaurants, 5-star restaurants as well, cafes, boutiques, apartments, hotels, and a lot of things happening because of concert hall. Even more, private investors in renting houses. How did they find CESIS? Because they were coming to the concerts, and this was the way how they loved in and then saw the big potential of this town. So, and but next year, Lampa and CESIS Concert Hall will celebrate 10 years, and we should look in the next level. And I strongly believe and agree what did you say, that we should involve society. And after municipal reform in 2021, we can see how many communities are coming very, very active. And what municipalities should to do, just provide some supporting instruments, some finances and some support, some advices. And I think this is the new future as well, to provide new form of government in our state. I still believe that, for example, there could be some community schools, not schools provided by municipality or state, but provided and organized by communities. We have great example, for example, already in CESIS, where parents came together and made private school, which is very successful right now and still operating. So yes, I think that we should not research, but look for new solutions how to govern our countries in the very new ways, as well as in the culture.
And Valmiera, 2028.
I think you brought up a very interesting subject about the bottom-up approach that we should all be trying to implement in our municipalities and strengthen that approach, because historically this post-Soviet space, it was, for decades, it was top-down. So this is what the people know. And I just came back from France researching in cultural centers that are based in industrial spaces, and many people who were from, I think it was in Switzerland, brought up that it's a common practice for decades that if artists choose that they want a space for them to have studios, they are given the permission to work in the space, to develop the space, to be a part of the space, and only after 4 or 5 years they gain the trust from the government, and the government start pouring in the money. So they do it outside of their work hours, they do it for free, and that's a common practice. For us, it's so recent still that these are new concepts that our people are trying to slowly understand, and it will need time. It won't happen in like 5 minutes. Oh, we see what they're doing, so let's implement that. It's just right now, it's sometimes against their way of thinking because it has been so long with a different sort of approach. So we are trying to slowly find new mechanisms on how to think more like you said right now. As for Valmiera 2028, I think it looks promising because our goal is to create as much mechanisms as possible to secure the legacy. So be a part of as many projects as possible that have like duration time for 4 to 5 years. So Horizon projects, Creative Europe projects, then be a part of international community. So right now we're in a Culture Next network that unites the European capitals of culture. So staying present in the ECOC community is super important, and staying relevant for the legacy to go on and on and on.
Very good point that you made. That's something I don't understand. I've been asking. Well, you have 9 cities that went for a European capital of culture, which is, you know, millions of euros worth, and really change it, and only one gets, and you have to wait for another 15 years when this to come back. But then when it comes to, for example, UNESCO Creative Cities Network, if I'm not mistaken, no Latvian cities are in the network. We have many from Estonia, we have many from Lithuania.
We are applying.
You are now.
Yes.
You just. Oh, very good. Finally, finally,
Yes.
because we've been asking. I myself wrote just from the last application round. Tallinn became the UNESCO City of Music, which is much better because A, it's much cheaper. Well, it's almost no money if necessary, and secondly, this title is forever, not for 1 year. So all of your cities, well, not you have other things to do, but others at least have a tool. Another good news is that there has been recently launched, it's a preparatory phase, a project called the Baltic Sea Cultural Pearls, which is basically an idea that every year 3 to 5 cities around the Baltic Sea would get that title, which is much more accessible, cheaper, clear, short-term, but also would allow, at least in our region, to get more presence and highlight the capacity. So you have those options now, not to wait for another year, just to be also seen internationally. Yes? Did you want to say something?
No.
No. Good. Any questions? We're going to have final round, so any questions? Liva, I see that you have a question. Liva has a question.
Thanks. Microphones.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, all of you, being here and the process that you went through. Maybe what is the thing that you personally have gained throughout the process of writing this hell of an application that you said? We had very different emotional responses to well-being, mental health of the team, and smiles versus tears. But what is the one thing, the takeaway that you personally have gained from this process?
I think more of a more professional, I think it sharpened the professionalism in a way. I mean, also to say Zooms are half-hour, meetings and an hour, and that's it, let's move on. And if we can't make a presentation where we put, 7 sentences in one slide, I mean, then just, don't do that. So I think this was very insane way how to learn tough things, and also how to reconnect and how to jump from gazillion topics in a Zoom time when you have 9 Zooms in a row every day, and then just jump from topic to topic. And I think brain has learned somehow to click, but also I think this process, what I found out about myself, I didn't know that I can be so diplomatic with whatever opinions, because you are straight in the middle. You are between, the politicians who doesn't understand what it's about, people who think, like, culture, what is that? And it's just, you just pouring out the money, and you are in between all these opinions, and still kind of put the picture together. And I think we found our strength is in there as well.
Wonderful. Diana.
I would fully agree that first of all, it's sharpening of my own professional skills, but also these 2 years I learned a lot. I learned a lot of many things, and I suppose my brain too learned to very rapidly process the information. And as my colleagues say, we sometimes do not understand what you say. You have the mindset has changed, how your brain works, and it helps a lot to rapidly find some solutions or new ways of explaining information. First of all, to politicians, you have to okay, I can find another way how to say the same thing, and I think it's the most valuable thing that. The brain works differently, I think, and I feel more capable. I didn't know how much I can do, And the main thing is to keep this balance, like, and not to lose myself.
Very good. Artis, did you learn anything?
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Well, that's a good answer.
I think I learned more about CESIS and this region, and because we also work together with this new municipalities, which joined 2021. So yes, and personally, I'm still working on Piebalga, which is a very special place for Latvia. And during 19th century, it was the same cultural and education center as Tartu or Riga. Yes, so and this is very good that I think that I came closer to understand local people, and for team I think is this international network. We still work with this network and then trying to make some new projects. We also going to other ECOC cities, like last year Kaunas, and then this year we will go to Romania, Timișoara. Actually, we have even common project with Timișoara from that period. So yes, this is what we have.
Very good. Yeah.
I would say that personally, professionally, on all levels, don't be afraid of doing the 180. Thinking to something in a different way. Don't be afraid of going to a place when there's nothing, and be more bold to create something out of nothing. So it's more interesting, and it leaves a bigger mark to the people, to your community, to the place you are, and it is way, way, way more satisfying.
Very good. We are closing now. We have 3.5 minutes to go. A quick question to three of you. If the life doesn't go very well, and in 10 to 13 years you are still in the same place, I hope you're not, but if you are, and the European Capital of Culture round comes back, would you go for another try? Would you participate, recommend Valmiera to have another shot, or no?
I think the mayor already promised to Latvia to do it. I know he won't be in the space to do it.
Mayors are not going to be mayors, so that's easy to promise.
But would I personally say
as well? Would you recommend for the city, and would you personally do it?
For the city, yes. Personally, I'll think about it.
Well, that's a quite clear answer.
I will strongly think about that, but probably no, because what I'm thinking...
For the city or for you personally?
Both.
Both.
Because the question is, shouldn't we change those principles? I think that ECOC is a great initiative, but I think there is 21st century where things are changing so fast, and organizational structures are facing with different challenges and so on. And I think that there should be some kind of new model for ECOC. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So before we go, ahead, we need to go back to the roots and see what is the ECOC as a
exactly. And the very beginning, the idea was to support some regions, but we are very proud that Liepāja won this competition. But still, what is looking this jury? What kind of cities they are looking? And on my mind, they are looking very strong, also very healthy cities who can implement the program. And I think that's the way Narva lost and Daugavpils lost, and as well as CESIS and Valmiera lost. And Liepāja is a strong city, and this is what they are looking. But I think they should change a little bit mind and trust other cities, as for example Narva and Daugavpils.
That's for another session. That's fantastic start for another session. Last comment.
For the city, yes. And for myself, I think I would like to be part of team. But I suppose in 15 years' time, there would be people who... I'm also getting like 15 years older, so I suppose we have to give a floor to young people who with new brain. So that's my answer.
It's fantastic because it's 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's make an applause to everybody, to you as well. And let's continue this in another place, in another tent, with another stronger or lighter drink. It depends. Thank you very much.
Pulkstens 5. Liepājas teltī šī saruna turpinās.